Okay, hold on, let me see.
I think he has to push a button up here.
Okay.
I don't think so, because I don't see anything to connect to.
That pad out here.
Oh, wait a
You
minute.
usually just do it from,
There we go.
oh, you got it? Oh, good.
Okay. Probably unplug it until we're ready. I'm gonna unplug it until we're ready, so it's not showing.
Well, you don't have to unplug. I'll just,
Oh, you can, oh, okay, I didn't think you were able to do that. Perfect.
I have all the power up here, just that I don't use it right all the time.
Yeah.
I forgot to look at this.
Put your changes on our road type which one.
I can pull it up on this. All right. Any matters we need to get on the record before bringing the jurors in on behalf of the state?
No, Judge, thank you.
On behalf of the defendant?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mrs. Harper?
Yeah. Oh. We can, here you go, sir. Yeah. It's,
I think we'll probably take a break anyway.
yeah. No, but at some point I have to, I think I have the discretion to defend myself. If that's an issue, you know, I mean, I'm, everything is reasonable.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so,
At a break, we'll just put on the record and you'll.
I don't even think I'm gonna do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean, I've changed my mind.
He changed his mind.
Okay.
There's not, you know, sometimes you will learn.
Yeah.
When you're on the, you'll see a trial you did, and then the appellate attorney's like this.
And you're like,
Right, and so that's why you always err on that side, and you're just like, but sometimes you gotta be like, hey.
okay.
Oh.
This is the reports that the CSSU person did, not to go back. She needs to report.
Oh, absolutely.
May be seated, ladies and gentlemen. All right, good afternoon. All right. At this time, we will continue with the state's presentation of its evidence. You may call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor.
State calls Asia Chung.
Good afternoon. Oh, right. Back down. Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer unto God under the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes.
You may be seated. All right. It is a microphone. It is important that you speak into the microphone so the ladies and gentlemen of the jury can hear.
Yes, sir.
It's also important that you respond verbally. You know, sometimes it's difficult to interpret.
Okay.
All right. For the record, if you'd please state your name, spelling your last.
My first name is Asia Chung. It's spelled AJACHUNG.
Thank you. You may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay. Can you please tell us what your current employment is?
I work for the Ohio State Bureau of Criminal Investigation,
And how long have you worked there?
just over 4 years.
What's your current title?
I'm a special agent.
And did you have any employment prior to that?
Yes, I was a officer up in Michigan for 10 years before moving down to Ohio.
Okay. So currently, what are your job duties?
I'm assigned to the Special Investigations Unit.
Now, back in December of 2020, were you in the Special Investigations Unit?
No, I was in the crime scene unit.
And can you please explain for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what the crime scene unit does?
I would respond to calls for service sent out by my supervisor, whether that be an officer-involved shooting, a homicide, a sexual assault. When we'd arrive on the scene, I'd just take pictures and process the scene as needed.
Okay. And back in December of 2020, how long had you been in the crime scene unit?
Roughly 6 months.
And can you tell us how you get the cases that you're assigned or the assignments that you're given?
My supervisor, whatever our caseload is, he will assign us when he wants.
Okay.
There's no rhyme or reason to it.
Are your cases assigned based on kind of what are the restrictions of where you might go to process a scene?
So at the time I was a part of the South Crime Scene Unit, there's a North Crime Scene Unit. And if you basically look at the state of Ohio, 70 is the demarcation line for North and South units. So I would respond to any of the counties south of Delaware, east and west to Indiana or Pennsylvania.
Okay. So back in December of 2020, you were working in the crime scene unit, correct?
Yes,
And on December 22nd of 2020, were you sent out to a scene at 1062 Oberlin Drive?
yes,
And is that location in Franklin County?
it is.
Is it in the city of Columbus
Yes,
and the state of Ohio?
yes.
All right. Do you know approximately what time you were sent to that scene and why you were sent there?
I don't know what time my supervisor called me. I do know I stopped at Riverside Hospital prior to making Oberlin Drive.
Okay. And what did you do at Riverside Hospital?
I collected some clothing that belonged to Mr. Hill.
Okay. And then you went to the Oberlin Drive address?
Yes.
Do you remember approximately what time you arrived there?
I don't remember what time I arrived there. I remember what time I started processing the scene.
And what time was that?
5:30 in the morning.
What were the lighting conditions at that time?
It was dark.
And do you know approximately how long you processed that scene?
No,
Is there anything that would help refresh your memory with that?
my report would.
Okay. I'm going to hand you what's marked as State's Exhibit double D, DD.
According to my report, I cleared the scene. I stopped examination at 11:45 in the morning.
So approximately 6 hours you were there? All right. And did you process both the outside of that scene as well as the inside of that address?
Yes.
And while you were outside at that scene, did you take a number of photographs?
I did.
And did you collect a number of items of evidence?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to go through that. Did you have the opportunity to review those photographs and those items of evidence prior to coming into the courtroom?
Yes.
And did they appear to be a fair and accurate representation of what you photographed or what you saw on that date?
Yes.
Before we go through those photographs, can you explain just briefly for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, when you collect items of evidence, kind of that process of what you do to secure them, to catalog them, that sort of thing?
So after my my photos are taken, I will place placards by them. I will collect them, take close-up pictures of them, and then secure them in an envelope or a paper bag. I will seal it and I will initial it.
Do they get assigned a number as well or something to track them by?
They get assigned a number, and we have a software program that we can, when we number them, we have information that we put on, and then the sticker on top of the envelope or the bag.
Okay. And if you can also just explain for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, when you're taking the photographs, kind of what the thought process is to kind of lead them through, you know, close-up pictures, distance pictures, that sort of thing.
My first set of photos is going to be an overall of the scene, which would be from the street, all sides of the house, back sides of the house, depending on what the scene is. Then I will move in closer to where the evidence items would be.
Okay, thank you. All right, Your Honor, at this time, if there's no objection, I would ask to be able to publish the photographs.
Any objection?
None, Your Honor.
You may do so.
Thank you. Okay. And I believe that there is a laser pointer up there, so if you need that, feel free to use that. And we've got here State's Exhibit A1. I'm just going to run through these photographs, ask you to kind of point out what we're looking at, and I may show you certain items of evidence as we get to the relevant pictures, okay?
Okay.
All right, State's Exhibit A1, what do we have here?
This is a photo I took facing 1062 Oberlin. This, you can see the silver Chevy Tahoe and the cruiser behind it.
And can you point out 1062 Oberlin?
1062.
Okay, thank you. A2.
This is going to be on the south side of the street, just a different angle. You can still see 1062, and the house behind it is that's 1062.
Okay. A3?
It's just another angle, still on the same side of the street. You can only see the lights of 1062.
Okay. And what about the two vehicles that are in the forefront of the picture?
The silver Chevy Tahoe and the police cruiser.
Okay. A4.
This is directing my flash towards the CPD cruiser and the Chevy Tahoe.
And the residence in question, 1062, is not in that photograph, correct?
Correct.
Would it be to the right of the house that we see there?
It would be to the right, yes.
A5?
This is on the south side of the street where you can see 1062 and the car parked in the garage and then the house to the left.
All right. And what's the yellow that we see there?
The yellow is the tape that the police officers put up.
A6?
This is east of the house, which 1062 is right there, and you can see the cruiser and the silver Chevy Tahoe there.
A7?
Just another picture looking at the house with nothing in the street.
A8?
I took this photo at the end of the driveway, standing in the street of 1062.
A9?
Here I'm standing at the end of the driveway, looking towards the police cruiser and the silver SUV.
Okay. A10?
And I just pivoted and I stood at the same spot and I just took another photo of the residence.
What's A11?
This is going to be the west side of the house.
And then A12?
I'm in the backyard looking towards this street right now. This is still on the west side of the house.
Sorry. A13?
This is I'm in the backyard looking at the back of the house of 1062.
All right. And then A14?
The east side of the house in the backyard.
A15?
I'm closer to the house now, still on the east side, looking at the back fence.
A16?
I'm on the east side of the house, looking directly at the garage and the back deck portion.
Do you see a door in that picture?
I see two.
Okay, can you just point them out?
This door and then this door.
Okay. That first door, do you know, the first door that you pointed to, the one that's brown, do you know where that goes to?
This door enters, it goes into the garage.
Okay. A17?
It's just another view of the back deck showing the two doors.
A18?
A photograph of the front of the house, standing on the east side of it.
A19?
It looks like I'm halfway up the driveway, just getting closer to the garage.
A20?
Now I'm standing near the garage, photographing inside.
Okay. A21?
I did another pivot, just looking at the distance that it would be from where I was to the street.
So in this photograph, you're closer to the garage looking out into the street, is that correct?
Yes.
A22?
This is just going to be the driver's side of that white car looking inside the garage.
A23?
A different angle of what was in the garage.
A24?
I'm standing at the widest portion of the driveway right now, and I'm looking, that window leads into the living room.
A25?
The right side of the garage door, I'm looking into the garage again.
And do you see a white car in the garage there?
Yes.
And on the pavement of the garage, do you see an object underneath the white car?
The keys, yes, right here.
A26.
I'm actually inside the garage now. I would be walking towards that, the wooden door that I pointed out earlier, right there.
A27.
Now I'm standing at the wooden door looking west, still inside the garage.
A28.
At the wooden door again, looking out towards the driveway.
A29.
Still inside the garage, just having a different angle of that wooden door and the driver's side of the white car.
A30.
And just some storage items inside the garage.
A31.
Further inside the garage, just looking in the corner with obviously the white car in front of me.
A32.
And I just basically turned and took a picture of that wooden door that leads out to the deck.
A33.
A different view. I'm standing now on the front, by the front passenger panel of the white car, showing this wooden door.
A34.
Another photo of me standing in the garage looking out towards the driveway.
A35.
This would be considered like a mid-range photo showing a cell phone, a pack of cigarettes, a blue latex glove with handcuffs in it, and some keys inside the garage.
Can you point out those items?
Sure. Here's the blue latex glove with handcuffs, the cell phone, a pack of smokes, and some keys.
Okay. Thank you. A36.
This is an area of the garage where at the time I thought there were some ballistic events, which are bullet strikes in the wall.
Okay.
So I photographed it.
You call them ballistic events?
Yes.
Okay. A37.
This is just where I thought the ballistic events were with the ladder moved out of the way.
Okay. A38.
This is where I used an L scale sticker and identified them as BE 1.0 through BE 4.0.
And BE stands for?
Ballistic event.
A39.
A close-up of the stickers and the holes.
A40.
A close-up of BE 1.0.
A41.
Another close-up of BE 1.0.
A42.
Close-up of BE 2.0 and BE 3.0.
And A43.
A close-up of just BE 2.0.
A44.
Another close-up of it.
A45.
This is a close-up of BE 3.0.
And A46.
A close-up of BE 4.0.
And before we move on, can you just explain when you have these possible ballistic events, what do you do to try to get some information, additional information about whether or not they are in fact a ballistic event?
Because of the uncertainty of if they were bullet strikes or ballistic events, I used dithium oxide, which is a chemical that is used to test the presence of copper. And what we do is we have bench coat paper, which is, there's a shiny side and a cloth side, and the mixture is put on the cloth side, and we hold it over the hole in question, and if it's positive, it will turn a gray, like a gray color.
Did you do that in this instance?
I did them for all, yes, and they all returned negative.
So meaning not positive for it having a ballistic event or being struck by gunfire, correct? Okay. All right. A47.
This is a mid-range photo where I've placed placards by the latex glove with handcuffs, the cell phone, the pack of cigarettes, and the keys in the garage.
And can you explain what the placards are used for, why you do that, and what it helps with?
The placards are just to identify what I would be collecting, and then the associated number, let's say 8, is what it will be marked on my evidence list. As I collected number 8, it will have a description of a blue latex glove with a set of handcuffs.
A48?
This is just a different angle showing items 8, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 being inside the garage right there.
And A49?
This is a close-up of a cell phone as I collected it. That was on the driveway.
Okay. Agent Chunk, do you have some gloves up there?
Yes.
All right. 1 second. This is S. I'm going to hand you what's marked as State's Exhibit S, as in Sam. So take a moment, look at those. There is a pair of scissors up there. We're opening those if that's helpful to you. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is that?
It's item 2 that's still up there in the photo.
So the item that's in the photograph is the same item in front of you?
Yes.
And again, where was that collected from?
The driveway. Just outside the garage.
What's A50 here?
It's the front side of the cell phone. Still item 2.
Okay. And A51?
This is the pack of cigarettes.
I'm going to hand you what's marked as State's Exhibit M.
You want me to open it, correct?
Yes, please. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What's M?
It's a pack of Maverick cigarettes with 4 cigarettes inside.
And those were collected as item number 3 there?
Yes.
Okay. Next, we've got State's Exhibit A52. Do you recognize that in the photograph?
Yes, those are the set of keys.
And what's the item number there?
4.
I'm going to hand you what's marked as State's Exhibit P. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what's State's Exhibit P?
The set of keys.
Okay. Now, in the photograph here, State's Exhibit A52, do the keys in that photograph look the same as the keys that you've just opened in State's Exhibit P?
No,
What's different?
the key fob is missing, and this red, I don't know what that is, but that's not on there.
Your Honor, we would stipulate, we were told by Agent Ward that those two items were given to the owner in advance, and we were made aware of that. So-
I'll just have her explain it a little bit if you're okay,
Okay.
Okay,
but I do appreciate that.
all right, but no objection.
So Agent Chung, you've noted the differences. Can you explain why there's a difference between what's there in the package and what's in the photograph?
So these keys, we, after speaking to some people on the scene, belong to the silver SUV. So in order to impound it, you need the key fob and the ignition key. So we removed those, so the car could be impounded to the impound lot.
And do you know if ultimately the vehicle was returned to its owner?
I believe he picked it up.
Do you know his name?
Bruce Robinson.
All right. You can set that aside. Prior to the owner picking up the vehicle, you said you had to leave the keys with impound, correct?
Yes.
Was there anything done to confirm who the owner was or confirm that the vehicle was not reported stolen or anything of that nature?
I believe the plates were ran, as well as we had information that the vehicle belonged to Bruce Robinson, who is was Andre's boss.
States Exhibit A53, do you recognize this?
This is a photo with placard number 5, and you can't see it in there, but right here, right here is a projectile, and that's what number 5 was.
Okay. N2. Can I hand you what's marked as States Exhibit N2? Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What's that?
This is an expanded projectile.
And is it the same as what is in the photograph here in A53, item number 5?
Yes.
And this photograph, A54, what's this?
It's a close-up of this projectile.
All right, you can set that aside. Next, we have States Exhibit A55. You just, go ahead.
Apologize. I'm standing by the lamp post in the lawn, looking towards the garage, and you can see some flags right here. Those are marking casings, and you can also see the other items of evidence back here.
The ones in the back are those things that we've just looked at.
Yes.
Okay. A56?
A different perspective of looking towards the casings that we located with a metal detector.
And then A57.
A close-up showing items 6 and 7 with the yellow flag.
And then A58.
A close-up of a casing.
A59.
A close-up of a casing.
A60.
This is going to be a mid-range photo of item 9, which is a casing as well.
And A61.
A close-up of the casing.
I'm going to hand you what's marked as State's Exhibit O. There are 4 envelopes together. I'm going to ask you to set the first one aside and take a look at the ones that are items 6. Do you have 6, 7, and 9?
Yes.
Okay. Can you take a look at those, open them up, and let us know if you recognize them and what they are?
Item 6 is a casing. Item 7 is a casing. And item 9 is a casing.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to give you a little clip.
Okay.
Put those all together so that nothing gets lost. Thanks. There we go. A62, what do we have here?
This is a close-up of the blue latex glove that had the handcuffs in it.
I'm going to hand you what's marked as State's Exhibit Q. Tell us what the item number is on that is.
Item 8.
Yeah, on the envelope. Item 8, is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the pair of handcuffs and a blue latex glove.
Thank you. Next, we've got A63.
This was, it had gotten lighter outside and just a different perspective with all of the items still marked by the light pole, the casings here, and then the casings, or I'm sorry, the other items of evidence by the garage.
A64.
After we had collected all the items of evidence in the driveway, we moved the garbage can just looking for more casings, and we found one there.
A65.
This is a mid-range, you can right there see the casing. And then a close-up.
And that's A66. And then we've got A67.
Just a mid-range photo with placard 12 identifying the casing.
And I believe you still have one item in front of you marked States Exhibit O that hasn't been opened.
No.
Can you open that?
It's a casing.
Okay, thank you.
What's that item number again?
The item number is 12.
Okay, thank you.
And I forgot to show you this photograph, but A68,
Is a closer photo of the casing with the placard next to it.
number 12, right?
Yes. And then a close-up of the casing.
A69. And then this is A70.
This is that same casing showing the head stamp of it.
All right. So here, A71, what's this?
This is an altered close-up, so I have a neutral background. It's on a piece of paper, and it's item number 2. It's the cell phone that was from the driveway.
So when you say altered, or I guess some people might say posed photograph,
Yes.
that's where, can you just explain what that is?
Sure, so my photographs start with overalls, mid-range, and close-ups as they are, then with a placard as they are, and then before I collect them and put them into either an envelope or a plastic or a bag, I will take this type of photo with a neutral background showing both sides and what it is.
A72,
It's the back of the same cell phone.
A73,
The I may have taken off
the case,
the protective case.
A74, same phone,
It's the same phone, just showing the IMEI number.
and then these photographs, A75, just a close-up of item 3,
Yes.
another view, A76 of item 3,
Yes.
A77,
A close-up of the keys I collected.
and this one was before the key fob was removed to place it with the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
A78,
A close-up of the expanded projectile.
A79,
A different view of that.
A80,
It's item 6, showing the head stamp of the casing.
A81,
Another photograph of item 6 showing the head stamp.
A82,
Item 7, casing, showing the head stamp.
A83,
A close-up of the head stamp.
A84,
A altered close-up of the blue latex gloves with the handcuffs.
A85,
A different view with taking the handcuffs outside of the glove.
so the prior photo, A84, was that how they were collected as in that fashion inside?
Yes.
Oops, sorry. That was A86, and then A87,
Is item 9, which is a casing showing the head stamp.
and A88.
Another close-up of the head stamp, same number.
Okay. And do all of these items appear to be fair and accurate representations of what you collected minus what we've already described about the keys?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I need to switch PowerPoints for a second. Would you mind blanking that out so I can make that switch? I'm ready now, Your Honor. If you could turn it back on, please.
Okay.
I've got State's Exhibit I here. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
And can you describe what it is?
This is a bird's eye view, overhead view of the scene, showing the items up here that I collected, cruiser and the silver SUV with the house right here.
And is there a key over to the left that kind of describes what the different circled items are?
Yes, the key is just color-coded, and then it also has the item numbers in which were collected, the items were collected.
All right. And what else is noted towards the bottom of that diagram? In the street?
This,
No, all the way to the left? Yeah.
the CPD cruiser and the silver SUV.
And how is this created, just generally speaking? How is this made?
A 3D scanner, it takes, it collects measurements of where everything is at that time. And then once we get it back to our software, we can stitch it together. So it allows you to make a diagram such as this, but it also allows you to have a 3D experience, and basically, as if you were there, you could rotate and view it from the different points that he collected.
Okay. Now, all of the photographs and the diagram and all those things that we've seen, the collected items, these were all from outside the residence at 1062 Oberlin, correct?
Yes.
Did you also take photographs or collect evidence from inside that residence as well?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm going to ask to publish some of those pictures.
Okay. Any objection?
None, Your Honor.
You may publish.
All right. Okay, starting with B1. Agent Chung, can you tell us what we have here?
I'm standing in front of the front door of 1062.
And then B2,
I'm on the inside, looking into the living room.
B3,
I'm in the living room, looking back towards the front door.
B4,
I would be standing near the stairs, looking at a different perspective of the living room.
B5,
This is the front couch in which I collected 2 items.
B6,
A different perspective showing items 10 and 11.
B7,
Item 10, which is a cell phone with a cracked screen.
and then B8,
This is going to be the back of that same cell phone.
B9,
This is item 11 with the cell phone that I collected.
B10,
It's a close-up of the cracked screen of item 11,
and B11,
the back of that same cell phone.
B12,
This is standing by the stairs looking into the kitchen.
B13,
This is me standing inside of the kitchen looking towards the stairs going upstairs and downstairs.
B14,
A different perspective of the kitchen. That's this door right here leads out to the back deck.
and then B15,
Another photograph of the kitchen.
B16.
Mail,
Hold on.
All right, please approach. Excuse me. Gentlemen, the objection's overruled.
So Agent Chung, I'm not sure how far we got before there was an objection. What's in this photograph?
A piece of mail that I found in the house.
And B17?
Another piece of mail.
And what's the address on there?
1062 Oberlin Drive, Columbus, Ohio, 43221.
And the name?
Destiny Liddell.
And then A18.
This would be me standing in the kitchen or just beyond the kitchen, looking out towards the front door.
All right. Now, Agent Chung, did you take a number of additional photographs inside the house, approximately 44 photographs?
Yes.
And prior to coming into court today, did you have the opportunity to review those photographs?
Yes.
The remainder of the ones that we haven't seen yet, B19 through B44?
Yes.
Did those all appear to be fair and accurate?
Yes.
Okay. One moment.
Okay.
right. Agent Chung, in addition to photographing the outside and the inside of this particular residence, did you process anything else at that scene or remove anything else from that scene for processing?
The silver SUV, the vehicle.
Okay. Coroner, I'd like to show some photographs of that vehicle as well.
Any objections? Oh, you may.
Did you also, as part of that, process a second vehicle, a police cruiser?
Yes.
And those are included in this series of photographs. Do you have any objection to that? The police cruiser? Okay.
Okay, you may publish. No objection.
Your Honor, I'm going to switch PowerPoints again, so if you wouldn't mind blacking that out. Thank you. Okay. Agent Chung, we can run through these fairly quickly.
You ready?
If we could, yes. States Exhibit C1
Yeah, Columbus Police Cruiser 9031.
and C2.
A different angle of it on the driver's side.
Can you see a number up at the front, kind of the front side panel there too?
9031 right here?
Yeah.
Yes.
C3,
A photo of the same vehicle, 9031.
C4,
The front end photo of 9031.
C5,
A straight on photo of the same cruiser.
C6,
The front passenger side of cruiser 9031.
C7,
A straight on photo of the same cruiser.
C8,
This is the front passenger door that is opened. I'm now starting to process the inside.
C9.
A photograph looking in the front passenger seat.
And do you know whose cruiser this is?
I was told it was Officer Coy's.
C10,
A photo still at the front door, front passenger door, looking across to the front driver's side.
C11,
This is going to be the front driver's side.
C12,
Standing at the front driver's side door, looking into the car.
C13,
A different perspective.
C14,
A picture of the floorboard for the front driver's side.
C15,
This is the rear driver's side of the vehicle, of the police cruiser.
C16,
The door of the rear driver's side door of cruiser 9031.
C17,
Here I'm on the passenger side of cruiser 9031, looking into the rear portion of it.
C18,
The rear passenger side door of cruiser 9031.
now we have C19. Do you recognize what this is?
Yes, this is the silver Chevy Tahoe that was reportedly driven to the scene.
And can you read the license plate that is there?
HQA 9019.
C20,
This is just a photo of showing the rear portion and the driver's side portion of the silver SUV.
C21,
A straight-on photo of the driver's side of the vehicle.
C22,
The front corner driver's side photo of the same vehicle.
C23,
The front photo of the same silver Tahoe, showing the license plate as well.
C24,
Moving on to the passenger side, this is just taken from the front passenger corner.
C25,
A straight-on photo of the passenger side of the vehicle,
C26,
and then the rear passenger side of the vehicle.
and then C27.
This is the front driver's side door that's opened.
So at this point, you're starting to process the inside of the vehicle.
Yes.
C28,
A photo taken of the front driver's side looking into the car,
C29,
looking directly across to the front passenger side.
C30,
A photograph of the front driver's side floorboard.
C31,
This is a door sticker showing the VIN of the vehicle right here.
kind of in the middle of the photograph there above the
Yes,
the
right
yellow. C32,
Another sticker showing its information of the vehicle.
C33,
This is the rear driver's side door.
C34,
And then it's still the rear driver's side of the vehicle, but me looking into the vehicle now.
can you describe generally kind of what's in that photograph in the rear there?
Belongings, maybe work items, I don't know. It was cluttered.
C35,
A different photo showing some paperwork and like some of the items that I just described.
C36,
A photograph of the rear driver's side seat.
C37,
This is the rear compartment showing all the tools.
C38,
This would be the rear passenger door and seat that I took a picture of.
C39,
This is a photo of the rear passenger door opened.
C40,
It's another photograph of me shooting some of the items that were located in the rear seat.
and do you recognize any of the items here, like in the forefront of the picture? Or how would you describe them?
I see possibly a butane, maybe a hat,
Okay,
some clothing, personal belongings.
thank you. C41,
A different perspective of looking down at the floorboard of the rear passenger side.
do you see work gloves there?
Yes, right here.
C42,
This is the front passenger door that's open. I'm just capturing it.
C43,
Another photograph of me shooting into the front portion of the vehicle.
C44,
A photograph of the front passenger floorboard.
C45,
This is a photograph of the glove compartment with some paperwork in it.
and C46,
It's a photograph of the paperwork, the BMV registration form.
C47,
This is a receipt from Giant Eagle.
C48,
Another photograph of me standing at the front passenger side of the vehicle shooting into the car.
C49,
You'll see here placard 1, just a photograph of placard 1.
C50,
This is placard 1. This is a smartwatch that we collected.
and then C51,
The altered close-up of it.
where you put it on the neutral background.
Yes.
C52,
This is the back of that smartwatch.
C53,
This is item 2, which is a cell phone box right here that we located.
and C54.
A close-up of that box.
Going to hand you what's marked as State's Exhibit R.
Renee, you want me to open this, correct?
Yes, please.
It's the cell phone box.
Okay. And is there something inside there as well?
A cell phone?
Okay. Thank you. Next, we've got C55,
This will be the altered close-up of this box.
C56,
The sticker information for the cell phone inside,
C57,
and then the cell phone inside.
and C58.
The back of that cell phone.
C59,
This is the center console. The front, the front center console.
of the SUV that we were looking at earlier. And then C60,
This is placard 3. We collected the prescription bottles here.
C61,
And this is an altered close-up with the bottle's contents.
can you read the name that's at the top of those?
It says Bruce Robinson, right here.
All right. One moment. Just to follow up, the vehicle that we were just looking at, that silver-colored SUV, strike that, never mind. So once the vehicle was processed, then it was able to be released to the owner once they picked it up, correct?
We impounded it to the impound lot.
And it was picked up from there, or was able to be picked up from there?
Yes.
Okay. And again, do all of these items and these photographs appear to be a fair and accurate representation of what you saw or what you collected back in December of 2020.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned earlier that you had gone to the hospital, to Riverside.
Yes.
What did you do there?
I collected evidence items.
Okay. I'd like to publish those photographs as well.
No objection.
You may.
We have State's Exhibit C62 here. Can you tell us what this is and where it came from?
All of these items came from Mr. Hill's person. I don't know where they were collected, within maybe his jacket or whatever, but it was on his person at the time he arrived at the hospital. This is some cash he had, some sort of credit card or debit card. It appears that this is maybe a holder for a cell phone and then a mask.
And regarding the cash that you referenced, do you know how much cash was recovered?
$115.
Okay. Did you document the cash anywhere?
I did.
Okay. Was it initially documented as a different amount, but then corrected?
I erroneously entered it into maybe my evidence list, somewhere within my report that I put 110, but it was actually 115.
And then you corrected that,
Yes,
documented it?
yes.
Okay. C63,
Those are those same items with evidence placard 1 next to it.
and regarding the cash, the $1 bills
Yes.
to the right, do you see where, yes, there, where it looks like there's something red there?
Yes.
Did you make any determinations about what that was?
As if I tested it or something.
Yeah, or just from observation, anything?
It appeared to be blood.
C64,
These are shoes and socks.
Can I hand you what's marked as State's Exhibit K? If you want me to take some of the other items out of your way, I can do that.
This is the clothes.
Mhm.
You want me to open the shoes?
Yes, if you could, please. Yeah, hold on one second. One moment. So you had State's Exhibit K in front of you, correct?
Yes.
I'm not going to ask you to open that, but can you just identify, I believe you said it was closed, but can you list out what's on there or in there?
This is, what I have is the description. It's clothing worn by Andre Hill. It's a quantity of 4: black pants, black belt, multicolored underwear, a mask, a black t-shirt, a gray sweater with a fuzzy collar.
Okay. And then I'm going to show you, we'll skip ahead to State's Exhibit C66.
Yes.
Can you just tell us what this is?
This is a picture of his clothing, underwear, undergarments, a mask. This is the fuzzy black sweater and his pants with a belt and his shirt.
Okay, so that's State's Exhibit K that you had in front of you that we're not opening, correct?
Correct.
Then we'll back up a second to C65. And what's this?
This is the shoes and the socks.
I'm going to hand you what's marked as State's Exhibit T. And I'm going to put State's Exhibit L up here for reference.
It's going to be a pair of shoes and socks.
Okay. Thank you. And those are item number 2, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then State's Exhibit L, if you could just identify what that is.
This is item evidence number 1. My description notes are $110 in cash, a debit card, and a phone holder.
Okay. We don't need to open those.
Okay.
Okay. Hold on, Ms. Amlin. We're going to go ahead and take a break at this point in time. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could get you back in the jury room at 3:15. 3:15. Remember the admonitions that I've given you with respect to the All right, anything we need to get on the record? We'll bring the jurors in. Okay,
Your Honor, except for Renee.
yeah, okay,
Water went down the wrong pipe.
okay.
1 second.
Well, let me know when you're ready. Take your time.
You're so helpful. Okay, I think I'm good, thank you.
Okay. All right, Mrs. Harper? Oh, so how do you spell your last name? Okay, thank you. Yes. All rise for the jury. May be seated, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we will continue with the state's presentation of its evidence. You may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Chung, I think this is where we left off. We were looking at State's Exhibit C65, which you had just identified as item number 2. And then I think we'd already looked at C66 as clothing items, correct? Is that your recollection?
Yes.
So I believe we've finished all of those items. Now, these items you collected from the hospital, correct? These, the clothing items.
Yes.
Did you also collect additional items from the coroner's office?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to hand you what's marked as State's Exhibit N, and then N.
What numbers?
N and N2.
Already added into.
and one. I believe.
So we have a projectile N2.
I'm sorry, maybe I have them mixed up. Give me 1 second. I think what's on the list and what's here are different. So let me fix that.
We need another sticker.
Sorry. I'm going to hand you what's marked as N1 and N. So we did have N2 before, I apologize.
Okay.
Stronger contacts. Do you recognize those?
Yes.
And what are those?
You want me to open them?
You don't necessarily need to open them.
Okay.
But if you can just identify what N is, where it came from, what it is.
N is the projectile that was recovered from the autopsy.
And specifically from whom and from what location?
It was recovered from Mr. Hill's autopsy, a bullet projectile recovered from his right 11th intercostal space.
And then N1, what is N1?
N1 is a bullet projectile recovered from the right buttocks of Mr. Hill. It's inside a box.
Okay. And that's you said a projectile?
Yes.
Right. And those are all labeled and marked and cataloged and all that?
Correct.
Okay. So those are the items that you collected from the coroner's office.
Yes.
In addition to that, did you also take some additional photographs involving Officer Coy and Officer Detweiler?
Yes.
Did you photograph a firearm as well?
Yes.
You okay with the photos? Okay. All right, we're going to start with State's Exhibit D1. You could just tell us what this is.
This is Officer Coy as he was when I documented him. He's wearing like a mask type. It was cold out.
Was it also COVID during that time period?
Yes.
Okay. And these photographs were taken when?
That same night,
D2?
just the left side of Officer Coy,
D3?
the back side of him,
D4?
and then the right side of him.
D5?
Officer Coy with after he took off his mask.
And then D6?
This is going to be his pistol I collected.
D7?
That is a close-up of the serial number,
Can you read that off?
NDR6860.
And then D8?
The back half of the gun showing a Smith & Wesson.
D9?
This is the front end of the slide showing MMP 9.
D10,
And the rear of the slide with the handle showing NM 2.0.
D11,
This is his pistol with the cartridge taken out of the chamber and the cartridges that were seated in the magazine, loaded in the magazine.
and do you know how many there were? Or did you document that in your report anywhere?
I'm counting right now, is that okay?
Certainly.
$13 in the magazine, 1 in the chamber,
Okay,
so 14 total.
okay. And do you know what the total capacity was for that particular firearm?
The capacity for the magazine is 17,
And then the additional one for the chamber?
if that's how he loaded it, yes.
Okay,
Total, so that would make it 18 total.
all right. And do you recall how many shell casings were recovered at the scene?
Your Honor, we would stipulate that it holds 18.
Okay,
There were 4 shell casings recovered.
right, accept stipulation.
Yes, Your Honor. D12.
This is an angle shot of the, a cartridge showing the head stamp.
Okay. Before we move on, sorry about that. It's just skipping ahead. I'm going to hand you what's marked as State's Exhibit J.
Okay. This gun box contains the pistol, and then the magazine, and then the cartridges. And then something that the firearms lab did,
Okay. Test fires, perhaps?
perhaps.
Okay. All right. So is that the same firearm that we just saw in that series of photographs we looked at a moment ago?
Can I get my glasses?
You may, yes.
It seems to be a common problem.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. All right. We're going to switch back now. State's Exhibit D13. What is this photograph?
This is a photograph of Officer Detweiler,
And D14,
the right side of her,
D15,
the back side of her,
D16,
the left side of her.
and then D17.
This is a magazine that was, I just documented showing that she did not discharge her pistol.
Okay. So nothing was missing from that magazine? No rounds were missing?
Correct.
Thank you. Can I have just a moment, Your Honor?
You may.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Hamlin. Cross-examination,
Proceed, Your Honor.
you may.
Your Honor, I'll be needing the Elmo, but you can leave the lights on.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Agent Chung, my name is Mark Collins, along with Caitlin Stevens. We represent Adam Coy in this action. We met a couple weeks ago, correct?
Yes,
We were dressed a little differently that day.
a little.
I just have a couple questions and topics for you. In general, Agent Chung, the situation for CSSU or Crime Scene Search Unit is you hope that the scene's preserved as well as possible, correct?
Correct.
You can only document what you see and what's pointed out to you when you get there, correct?
Correct.
Many times in the chaos of a scene or an incident, things get bumped, evidence gets moved, by accident, correct?
Yes,
Sometimes it's tampered with intentionally.
sometimes.
Sometimes. So you can't say when you take a picture that that item was specifically right there when the incident happened, so to speak.
Yes, correct.
You're trying your best to say, hey, this is how I found it, and you're not sure what might be relevant and what won't be relevant, right?
Correct.
So an example, those bullet events, that's something that, based on your training experience, you're like, hey, I should do this, but it turned out they were not bullet holes.
Correct.
And so you don't have a bias one way or another going in. You're just collecting as much evidence as around there.
Yes,
And then you analyze it and report back.
yes.
Okay. And I want to apologize, and I don't mean to make it confusing, but I have the same pictures, but it'll be a different number. I'm not admitting those, but it's some of the same ones they're exactly the same ones, Ms. Amlin,
Okay.
if you, okay? So first of all, let's talk about, in general, the lighting. When you take pictures and stuff, it actually enhances the lighting, correct?
Yes,
And so the photos we see is with an enhanced helping light, so to speak, to make it brighter.
yes,
Okay, and then you got there around, I think, 4 or 5 in the morning, right?
yes,
Okay, and so you're aware the incident was sometime before 2 a.m., correct?
correct.
Okay, so in those 3 hours, again, you don't know if something was moved by a medic or something was rolled over or things like that.
Correct.
All right, so that car, and again, for the record purposes, this is the Defendant's Exhibit 4. It was State's Exhibit C25,
Okay.
okay? If you'll take a look at that. So that, clearly, it was taken a little bit later later that morning.
Yes,
And those windows are tinted, correct?
yes.
Okay, and a fairly dark tint, right?
I would say so.
Okay, and then that car was actually parked at the end or close to the end of 1070, correct?
Yes,
Okay. Now, did you do any measurements from 1054 Oberlin?
no, I did not.
Okay. Your focus was on 1064 and 1070.
1062.
1062 and 1070, okay.
Yes,
Okay. But you had a general look from the area and, the spacings of the houses?
yes,
Okay, all right. Now, that wooden door that you talked about in the side of the garage,
yes,
Right.
yeah.
in that picture, there was some wood at the bottom. Was that wood actually, did you examine it? Was it blocking that door from being used?
I didn't touch it.
Okay. Did it look like it was in the wedges there?
Do you have a picture?
I will find one shortly, okay? All right.
It appeared to be just a piece of plywood that maybe would block maybe the lower half.
You don't know if that was put there to make the door non-functional or if someone just placed it up against it?
Correct, correct.
Now, Defendant's Exhibit well, let me hand it to you first, this way I'm supposed to do. May I approach that?
You may.
This is Defendant's Exhibit 6, and I think, I apologize, I didn't catch the state's number. Do you recognize that, Agent?
Yes.
May I approach again?
You may.
May I publish, Your Honor?
You may. I mean, it's already been shown, right?
So this is Defendant's Exhibit 6, but you've already testified about this picture.
Yes.
And in fact, you said there was a shell casing found right in here,
A projectile, yes.
projectile.
Yes.
And what's to the left of there? What is that?
It was an unburned cigarette.
Unburned cigarette. Did you collect that as well?
No, I did not.
Okay. Was it, but you collected the cigarette pack.
Correct.
Did you see if that cigarette came from that cigarette pack?
I did not.
Was there a lighter found on any of the property or anything like that?
I don't believe so.
Okay, but that cigarette, I mean, it looks like it's in pretty good shape, and you saw it close enough to see that it wasn't lit?
Correct.
Okay, all right. But you didn't take a close-up picture of that or anything?
No, I did not.
Okay. And I'm sorry, here's Defendant's Exhibit 9 with that door.
Yes.
Does that help with what you saw? Is that kind of similar to what you saw?
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right. Now, you guys work as a team, correct?
Yes.
All right, and so part of your team is Special Agent Ward, Special Agent Perry Rosser, the whole group, right?
Yes.
Okay. And part of the duties are split up between people and things have different responsibilities, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you had mentioned the tag that was in the evidence, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And with that tag, can you make out where the car is from?
Galloway,
Okay, do you know where Galloway is?
southwest of Columbus,
Okay.
in the area.
Do you know how far? 10 minutes, 20 minutes?
I don't.
Okay, all right. But it's a different village or city or what have you. It's not part of Columbus.
Correct.
Okay. And when an officer runs a tag, they're running the license plate, right?
Yes.
And when you run that license plate, it kicks back through the leads system, the tag information, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so part of the investigation that was done by your team was to determine whether or not my client ran a leads check.
Yes.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
This is Defendant's Exhibit number 8. It won't be admitted, Your Honor, or anything like that. It's just to help with our process here.
Okay, thank you.
Take a look at the paragraph that's out.
Okay. Do you want me to read it out loud?
Read it to yourself first.
Okay.
And as part of the team, you're aware that that occurred, correct? You can read it out loud.
Yeah, yes, somehow it came to my knowledge.
Okay, yes, you can read that paragraph out loud.
The leads record revealed Ohio license plate HQA 9019 was queried on December 22nd, 2020 at 1:45 in the morning, or 01:45 hours, from terminal used logged in under Ohio operator license RU 770767, which is assigned to Adam Coy.
So that's saying, basically confirming by your team that Adam Coy on the job that night ran the license plate of the silver Tahoe
Yes.
at 1:45 in the morning,
Yes.
and it came back, and then the tag information came back.
Yes.
Okay, that approaches this.
You may.
And then there was a bunch of pictures with regards to shell casings, right?
Yes.
Shell casings are get ejected from a semi-automatic weapon, correct?
Yes.
Normally, unless there's a special feature, they're ejected to the right, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And so you would expect to find shell casings to the right of where someone fired a weapon if the scene was preserved perfectly.
yes,
And now, you know the difference between a semi-automatic and a revolver, correct?
yes.
A revolver does not eject out the casings.
No, it does not.
It stays in there, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So your picture, excuse me, this one I do have, Defendant's Exhibit 3, State's Exhibit D11. Am I approaching there?
You may.
You've already testified to that, correct?
Yes,
So this is an example of a semi-automatic weapon, correct?
yes,
This device goes up into the bottom of that,
yes,
and then when the trigger's pulled and it fires, a shell casing kicks to the right.
yes,
Okay. Now, that's different than the setup of a revolver, correct? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Defendant's Exhibit 5. Based on your experience and training as a law enforcement officer, that's just a basic revolver, correct?
yes.
Okay. May I publish this to the jury? Your Honor?
Any objection?
I got it.
You may publish.
Thank you, Your Honor. So that's an example of a revolver.
Yes,
There's different types, different lengths and stuff like that, correct?
correct.
Okay. And then the service weapon that our client had, that is a semi-automatic.
Yes,
Okay. Now, do you still have the keys up there with you?
I don't.
Okay. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
It's okay, John, we can take out the keys. If you kind of extend them, would you describe those for the jury? What color are they?
There's silver keys. There are some keys on here that have a black tab on it and a membership card.
Could you lay them flat out?
Sure.
And with the court's permission, could I ever measure the length of that, Your Honor?
Objection.
Okay. Counsel, please approach. Excuse us, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, the objection's overruled.
May I continue, Your Honor?
You may.
May I approach a witness, Your Honor?
You may.
If you could stretch them out, Agent Sean, and then if you could use this tape measure. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Good.
Yeah, that's perfect. And roughly, Agent Sean, how many inches is that?
8 3/4.
Now, if you could put the tape in and now clump them up. Try to clump them up. Now set the clump now. And maybe try to do a measurement with a clump.
4.5.
Okay. And then maybe how about vertically for the record? So from the top, if you go from the top.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, the top down to the thing from that clump. Just trying to do it 3D perspective.
Maybe 2 inches, maybe.
And so that we're all clear, and I think Ms. Amlin touched upon this in direct, there was a fob missing from the time of the incident, right?
Yes,
And one other, I think you said that red thing, that's what differs from the picture?
yes.
Okay. It's in, it was in Detweiler's. If I may have just one moment, Your Honor.
You may.
Out there. Oh, wait. There we go. May I publish, Your Honor?
You may.
This is the defendant's exhibit. We're going to make this one 10. So here, and what's missing, I think, is you tell me what you believe is missing from your analysis of the keys and this picture.
This key fob right here,
Okay,
this red object,
okay.
it looks like that's it.
And based, I think, on your team's work, you believe that 2 items were taken off and given to people?
Yes,
Okay. Would you hand me the keys, please?
in the envelope.
Your Honor, may I walk in front of you, please?
Yes, you may.
And then the other side.
Sure.
Agent, that's all the questions I have for you. Thank you very much, and good to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Redirect.
Redirect.
Yes.
Agent Chung, State's Exhibit 77, I believe this is the same exhibit that's Defense 10? Does that appear to be the case, the photograph that he just showed you?
Yes.
Okay, so using the laser pointer, can you kind of make a circle around all of the areas of the keys that are different now versus how they appeared in that picture? Just so we can get an idea of how much space we're talking about here?
Sure. This portion, and then this portion.
Okay, and some of the actual key fob, the black part with the little red button, some of that appears to be behind what looks like that Giant Eagle Advantage card, correct?
Yes.
So is it a little bit difficult to see exactly how large that key fob is? Can you see it over on the other side extending, or is that a different item?
It extends to like right here.
Okay. The item, the part that's black, just to the right of the Advantage card, in between the key fob and the red, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that still part of the key fob there? Are you able to tell?
I can't tell.
Okay. But you would agree that the Advantage card is covering up some of that?
Yes.
Okay. I have nothing additional, Your Honor.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Hamlin. Recross?
No, Your Honor.
So you can step down. Okay, thank you. State may call their next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. State calls Dr. Daniels.
Oh, yeah. Do you swear or affirm the whole truth and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer unto God under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
You may be seated. All right. It is important that you speak into the mic so that the ladies and gentlemen of the jury can hear you. And it's important as well that you speak verbally, because it is difficult to hear or to interpret that as well. So at this time, for the record, if you please, state your name, spelling your last.
John, middle initial A, Daniels, Daniels.
All right. You may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you please, I believe the judge already had you state and spell your name. Can you tell us what state you live in?
I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry. What state do you currently live in?
I live in Ohio, northeastern Ohio.
Okay, and what is your occupation?
I am a physician, and my specialty is forensic pathology.
All right, and are you licensed in Ohio?
Yes, I am.
How long have you been licensed?
Since 1984.
And just very briefly, where did you receive your medical training?
Your Honor, we would stipulate to the credentials of Dr. Daniels that he's as a forensic doctor and expert in the field, whatever is necessary.
Okay. If counsel's willing to accept the stipulation, you may, or if you want to get his credentials in, you may as well.
Thank you. I think we can all move forward.
Okay. All right, so let the record reflect that Dr. Daniels is qualified as a forensic pathologist and able to testify as an expert witness. Okay.
thank you. So moving forward, Dr. Daniels, you said that your specialty is forensic pathology, correct?
Yes.
And just very briefly, what does that mean?
Forensic pathology is a subspecialty of pathology. Pathology is the study of disease, and pathologists generally work in the hospital looking at tissues and fluid samples and blood to diagnose disease in a hospital setting. Forensic pathology, we are first trained in that, and then we get specialty training in injuries. And we learn about injuries, how to recognize them, how to interpret what they mean, and to interpret whether or not they result in death or not. That's basically what a forensic pathologist does.
And where are you currently employed?
Currently, I am part-time retired and part-time employed at the Forensic Center in Columbus, the Franklin County Coroner's Office.
And are you a deputy coroner there, part-time?
Yes, I am.
All right. Is one of your duties to conduct autopsies?
Yes.
And how long have you been employed there?
Since January of 2012.
Okay. Now, were you asked to review the findings of an autopsy that was performed in December of 2020 by another deputy coroner?
Yes.
And was that for an individual who was later determined to be Andre Hill?
Yes.
Okay. And based on that review, did you have any differences of opinion with the opinion or conclusion that, and I'm probably going to get her name wrong, Dr. Amorisano? Did you have any differences of opinion from what she put in her report or concluded?
No, I did not.
Okay. So in order to conduct that review, did you have to review her report?
Yes.
What else did you have to review?
I reviewed her report. I reviewed the coroner's verdict. I reviewed the toxicology report.
Okay. Did you review any photographs?
Yes, I did.
All right. And you said you were in agreement with her opinion?
Yes.
Okay. So following that review, you essentially wrote a report that just said you were in agreement with her report, correct?
Yes, I wrote a supplemental report that said I agreed with her findings.
Okay. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
And hand me what's marked as State's Exhibit E, and then also double E. Okay?
Yes.
Can you just identify what State's Exhibit E is?
State's Exhibit E is the coroner's report, the autopsy report, and the toxicology report for Andre Hill.
Okay. And then State's Exhibit EE?
That is my supplemental report in which I said I am in complete agreement with Dr. Amorisano's conclusions.
All right. Take a moment and look at State's Exhibit E, which is the initial report, correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us what was determined to be the cause of death in this case involving Andre Hill?
The cause of death was multiple gunshot wounds, That was the cause of death, multiple gunshot wounds.
Okay. I'd like to go through what those individual gunshot wounds were. The report indicates there's 4 different gunshot wounds, correct?
That is correct.
All right, and they're labeled in the report A, B, C, and D,
Yes,
correct?
correct.
Okay. Let's start with the one that's marked gunshot wound A. And before we do, let me clarify, are you able to determine the order in which the gunshot wounds were inflicted?
No, these are simply put in that order so that they can be put into a report in an organized, readable way. They do not indicate a sequence.
Okay. So let's start with what's marked as gunshot wound A, which is the wound of the left side of the chest.
Yes. It is described as on the left side of the chest, 21¼ inches below the top of the head, and 3½ inches to the left of the anterior midline. There was a 1/4 inch round gunshot wound of entrance. It is labeled number 1 in the photographs. It has a 1/8 inch wide concentric marginal abrasion and a circumferential red-purple contusion measuring up to 1/4 inch in width. There is no soot or gunpowder stippling on the skin. The bullet injured skin, soft tissue, anterior left ribs numbers 6 and 7, the costal cartilage of the inferior rib cage, the anterior left 6th intercostal space. Intercostal space, I'm sure all of you have seen a diagram of how the ribs are arranged. The intercostal space is the space between the ribs, and it would be usually the rib below. So the 6th intercostal space, there will be a space between the 6th and 7th rib. Let's get back to it. The left hemidiaphragm, that means the left side of the diaphragm. The left lobe of the liver with a 3/4 inch lacerated defect with lacerations in the liver of 2½ and 2 inches in length. The stomach, pancreas with a 1 inch lacerated defect. The aorta with a 1½ inch lacerated defect just above or superior to the takeoff of the right renal artery, the posterior right 11th rib and intercostal space. A deformed jacketed bullet was recovered in the soft tissues of the posterior right 11th intercostal space. The bullet was labeled and placed in an evidence box. The bullet traveled from front to back, left to right, and downward. Associated with the gunshot wound were 1,900 milliliters of blood in the abdomen and pelvis, periaortic soft tissue hematoma, which measured 12 by 3 inches, gastric leakage, and hemorrhage throughout the wound tract.
Thank you, Dr. Daniels. So you mentioned 1,900 milliliters of blood loss.
Yes.
Based on that, are you able to make any determination as to the severity of this particular wound and the impact that it would have on the life of Mr. Hill?
Well, I can estimate through a formula called Nadler's formula, Nadler''S, that for a man of this height and weight, he has approximately 6,100 milliliters of total blood volume. So this represents a little less than 31% of his total blood volume. That's a significant amount that would put someone into shock.
Okay. Would you consider this particular wound to be serious or fatal?
It has fatal potential if it has lethal potential, and it is very serious.
Your Honor, I've already shared some photographs with defense counsel. I would like to publish at this time.
No objection.
Okay. Please approach, off the record.
Okay. We've got State's Exhibit E1 here. Can you just tell us what this is, Dr. Daniels?
Well, the autopsy number is reversed, but this is an identification photograph, and the number you are looking at there in reverse is 20-5648. That is a unique identifying number for Mr. Andre Hill's case. Every case that is admitted to the coroner's office has a unique number. The first two numbers are the year. Starting on January 1st, we start with case 0001, and the numbers increase until midnight on December 31st. Every record, photograph, piece of paper, everything that the coroner may have in their records will be identified in this case by that number.
Thank you, Dr. Daniels. That number matches the number that's on the report, correct?
Yes, it does.
All right. I want to go next to State's Exhibit E2. Now, the report indicates, with respect to gunshot wound A, which is the wound of the left side of the chest, that it is labeled in photographs as number 1.
That is correct.
Is that the wound, the chest wound that we were just referring to?
Yes, it is. That is the entrance wound.
Okay. And you indicated that there was a projectile that was recovered in this, out of this wound? or
Yes.
As a result of this particular bullet?
Yes, a bullet was recovered.
But State's Exhibit E3, can you tell us what this is?
This is the bullet that was described in the gunshot wound of left side of the chest as labeled from right 11th intercostal space.
Okay. And this is the wound that you had described with the 31% blood loss, and it punctured or disrupted the aorta,
Yes,
correct?
among other things.
Okay. Now, I want to move on to what's marked in your report as gunshot wound B involving the upper right thigh.
Okay, this is called gunshot wound of the anteromedial upper right thigh. Anteromedial, anterior, front. Medial means towards the midline, lateral means away from the midline. So this is the front of the thigh, closer to the midline. It is located 31.5 inches above the bottom of the right heel. It was a 1/2 by 1/2 inch ovoid gunshot wound labeled as number 2. It has an eccentric marginal abrasion, most prominent at the 5 o'clock position, measuring 1/4 inch. There is a peripheral red, purple, blue contusion present from the 10 to the 2 o'clock positions, measuring up to 3 inches in width at the 11 o'clock position. There is no soot or gunpowder stippling on the skin. The bullet injured skin, soft tissue, and the right femur. There is a graze injury to the right femur, chipping off a fragment of the lesser trochanter. The lesser trochanter is at the top end of the femur, and it is near but not a part of the femoral head or the hip joint.
This particular wound caused skin and soft tissue damage or hemorrhaging?
Yes,
Okay. And was hemorrhaging noticed through the wound track?
yes,
As far as the recovery of a projectile, was there the recovery of a projectile here?
yes, there was.
And where was that recovered from?
That was recovered in the soft tissue of the right buttock.
And your report indicates, or the report indicates that for gunshot wound B, that is referenced as number 2 in photographs, correct?
Yes, correct. And the direction of travel was reported to be front to back, left to right, and upward.
Okay. Can you take a look at State's Exhibit E4 here?
Yes. And we can clearly see number 2 marked in this photo, and that is the gunshot wound I just described.
Okay. E5?
And this is the bullet that was recovered from the right buttock.
Okay. Next, I'd like to talk about what's labeled as wound C. In the report, the through and through gunshot wound of the lower right thigh.
Yes.
Can you briefly describe that wound and the passage of the bullet through the body of Mr. Hill?
Okay, on the anteromedial aspect of the lower right thigh, located 24¼ inches above the bottom of the right heel, there was a 3/8 by 1/4 inch ovoid gunshot wound of entrance, labeled number 3, with an eccentric marginal abrasion most prominent at the 9 o'clock position, where it measured 1/4 inch. There is a peripheral red-pink contusion at the 3 o'clock position, which measured 1½ inches in width. There is no soot or gunpowder stippling. There is then the bullet injured skin and soft tissue, which is Dr. Marisano's way of saying it simply went through skin and soft tissue and hit no major blood vessels or anything else. On the posterior medial, so that would be the back of the thigh, on the side closer to the midline, of the lower right thigh, located 23¼ inches above the right heel. So that would be an inch lower on the body than the entrance wound. Was a 1/2 by 1/4 inch stellate lacerated gunshot wound of exit, labeled number 5, with circumferential extension lacerations of up to 1/4 inch. There's a red-purple contusion present at the 3 o'clock position. No bullet or bullet fragments were recovered, and the bullet traveled from front to back, from left to right, and downward, and there was associated hemorrhage along the wound track.
Okay. I want to go back and just clarify a couple of things. You indicated this hit no major vessels and would have passed through skin and soft tissue. Is that right?
Yes,
And this would be what a layperson might call a through and through type of,
through and through, yes.
Okay, so no bullet recovered. Would it be fair to say that this particular projectile did not go through like the meat of the thigh, but more along the side? Can you describe that a little bit more?
Well, it probably went through skin, soft tissue, and a portion of the muscle. But it didn't go, through the deep muscles of the thigh.
Okay. Let's take a look at State's Exhibit E6.
Okay. Okay, here we have number 3. That would be the one described here in C through the anteromedial lower right thigh. That is the entrance.
Okay. And you mentioned something about what's marked as the wound number 5,
Yes,
and that was,
the exit.
okay, that's not displayed in this particular picture.
No, it's on the back of the thigh.
Okay. So we will get to that in a moment. Skip that one. Go to State's Exhibit E8.
This is the exit wound associated with the gunshot wound I just described. And it is stellate, as you can see. That is stellate, of course, meaning star-like. It has some tears and has a typical appearance of an exit gunshot wound.
Okay. So number 3 was the entrance that we saw in the couple of prior pictures. Would have been
Yes,
E6, right?
yes,
And then the exit here in E8 is number 5.
yes. And what you're looking at in this area here is the back of the knee.
Okay. Next, I want to move to what's listed in your report as gunshot wound D,
Yes.
listed as through and through of the right leg. Can you describe the injury there?
There is an entrance gunshot wound on the anteromedial, again, front towards the midline of the right leg. Dr. Marisano here is using very strict anatomical terms. Most of us think of, when we say leg, we mean something from the hip to the foot. In anatomy, strict anatomical science, the thigh is from the hip to the knee, and the leg is from the knee to the foot. So Dr. Marisano is using the term leg in that context. So this gunshot wound is below the knee.
Okay.
It is located 15 3/4 inches above the bottom of the right heel. And there's a 1/4 inch round gunshot wound event entrance labeled number 4. It has an eccentric marginal abrasion, most prominent at the 12 o'clock position where it measures 1/8 an inch. There's no soot or gunpowder stippling. The bullet injured skin and soft tissue. On the posterior aspect of the right leg, there is a 12 5/8, located 12 5/8 inches above the bottom of the right heel. There is a 3/8 by 3/8 inch lacerated gunshot wound of exit labeled number 6. No bullet or bullet fragments were recovered. The bullet traveled from front to back, from left to right and downward, and there is associated hemorrhage along the wound track.
Okay, so taking a look at State's Exhibit E7, can you point out which, I guess, sticker with the number on it is indicative of this particular wound of the right leg?
Yes, number 4, described as the entrance gunshot wound of the leg.
Okay, and then moving ahead to State's Exhibit E8.
And this is the exit gunshot wound associated with the entrance wound I just described.
Okay. So, Dr. Daniels, in addition to these photographs and the injuries, the gunshot wound injuries that you've described, were any additional minor injuries documented?
Yes, red-brown abrasions were found on the right parietal scalp. The parietal scalp is on the side. Anterior right leg, anterior left leg, 2, and posterior left leg, 3. And these are described as red-brown abrasions. An abrasion results when there is some force tangential to the skin and the surface layers of the skin are removed.
Thank you. Now, would it be fair to say that all of the wound courses or the path here was from left to right and front to back for all 4 of these wounds?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Now, we've looked at about 8 photographs here, correct?
Yes,
Were there other photographs that were taken?
there were.
Were you asked to assist in locating the best photographs that showed the most relevant major injuries to Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Now, we've talked about 4 different gunshot wounds. Which of these is the most serious or has the most? Yeah. The most serious lethal potential?
The first one, the gunshot wound of the left side of the chest, has lethal potential.
And an individual who sustains that particular type of injury, would you be able to say how long it might be before a person would pass away from that type of injury without receiving treatment?
Minutes at the most.
Now, I believe we covered this already, but just to be clear, are you able to determine the order in which the wounds were inflicted?
No, I am not.
Was there a toxicology analysis that was done involving Mr. Hill?
Yes, there was.
Could you turn to that section in your report or in the report? Have that? Okay.
Yes.
Can you tell us what substances, if any, were detected in Mr. Hill's system at the time that this was conducted?
In the postmortem blood, ethanol, drinking alcohol, was discovered, and delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol from marijuana was discovered, and a breakdown product of delta-9 THC was also discovered.
Okay, so some type of marijuana,
Yes,
and then you referenced ethanol, which
Yes.
is alcohol, correct?
yes.
And what is the, I guess, volume or amount that was in the postmortem blood?
The amount is reported as 0.013 grams per cent.
Okay. And do you know what the legal limit for driving in Ohio is with respect to ethanol or alcohol?
Yes, I do.
Overruled. if he knows.
Yes, I do know.
What is it?
It is 0.08 grams percent.
0.08. And here, Mr. Hills is what again?
0.013.
And what impact, if any, would you expect that particular level of ethanol to have on a person's ability to react, respond?
Well, it's mild.
Hold on one second, Don. Excuse us, ladies and gentlemen. Counsel, please approach. You may be seated, everyone. Thank you. Okay. Okay, the objection is sustained. The jurors are not to place any consideration on the question that was asked. The question shall be stricken from the record.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Dr. Daniels, just a couple of additional things. I'm going to hand you what's marked as State's Exhibit N and N. This is two. Okay, one.
N1.
And one. All right, so I'm going to do both of these, and just going to ask you to take a moment and look at them.
Yes.
You've had a moment to look at them. N1, can you just tell us what's on the outside of the packaging there?
Okay, N1 says evidence number 2. Description, projectile, quantity 1. Bullet projectile recovered from right buttock of Andre Hill. Projectile is inside box, inside envelope. It gives a case number, not the coroner's case number, an investigation case number, I assume. Offense, officer involved, critical incident. Location, Andre Hill, collected December 28th, 2020, 2:30 p.m. And the person collecting it and the agency is BCI.
Okay. And then the other item,
Item labeled N is labeled evidence number 1, description projectile quantity 1. Bullet projectile recovered from right 11th intercostal space of Andre Hill at autopsy. Projectile is inside box, inside envelope. Same investigation case number. Offense, officer involved, critical incident. Location, Andre Hill, collected December 28th, 2020, 2:30 p.m., collected by the same individual who collected N1, agency BCI.
okay. Now, Dr. Daniels, what is your opinion with respect to cause of death here?
Certainly the gunshot wound on the left side of the chest was the lethal gunshot wound. Dr. Amerisano simply stated multiple gunshot wounds as the cause of death, and I would agree with her wording.
And is your opinion with respect to cause of death to a reasonable degree of scientific or medical certainty?
Yes, it is.
Nothing further.
Thank you, Ms. Hamlin. Cross-examination?
And procedural?
You may.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Dr. Daniels.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mark Collins. I don't think we met in a long, it's been a long time. Along with my partner Caitlin Stevens, we represent Adam Coy in this matter.
Yes.
Just have a couple basic concepts for you. Shouldn't be too difficult, okay?
Yes.
Sometimes I go fast and I slur my words, so let me know if that happens, okay? You can't tell the order of the shots.
No, I cannot.
In addition, you can't tell the position of the body, what the body was in when the body received the shots.
I can tell that the shots are going from front to back.
Front to back, left to right.
Yes, so in the anatomic position,
Leonardo?
well, the anatomic position, the arms are down at the side with, as you're standing right now, with the feet forward and the palms forward.
So when you do your analysis, or the other doctor do the analysis, it's all based on the anatomically correct person.
The anatomic position. Okay, and so from that, I can say they came from the front
Front to back.
to back and slightly from,
Three one direction vertical, one the opposite.
yes,
And they all went from left to right.
yes.
Okay.
I cannot tell you if Mr. Hill was standing in the anatomic position or in another position.
And it doesn't surprise you that three of the bullets have a downward trajectory, and one path has an upward trajectory.
No, it does not.
Because you can't tell the position of the body when the bullet entered.
Correct.
Now, anatomically correct, okay? But I keep saying that, I'm so sorry.
Anatomic position.
Anatomic position is like this. So hypothetically, the wound to the chest entered from this direction,
Yes,
okay? And it went left to right.
yes,
Okay, now, if the body hypothetically would, so the bullet would come right from here, so it's,
Yes.
I'm pointing to my left side of the chest.
I see.
However, if the body was positioned like this hypothetically, then the bullet comes from this direction and would be similar to left to right, front to back,
Right,
and either upward or downward.
yes.
Right? So depending on the position of where the bullet enters and the position of the body, it could change.
Well, the things that won't change is that the bullets all entered from the front.
Correct, absolutely.
Now, what posture Mr. Hill may have had? Was he standing straight up? Was he bent over? Was he in some other position? I can't tell you.
100%. All I'm asking is that with regards to the entrance, it can be consistent hypothetically. If a body's position is straight ahead, the bullet has to come from right here.
From that direction.
But if the body's facing this way and maybe bent like this, it has to come from this direction. It would still end up being front to back, left to right.
Yes,
Now, there's also, I believe, with regards to all humans are different how they react. So the cause of death here was gunshot wounds.
yes,
And some people can be more ambulatory after a gunshot wound or a type of gunshot wound than others, correct?
yes.
It's said that some people may be able to run a city block or something like that. Others may be not able to move at all.
There are cases recorded of people running a block or 2 blocks with a lethal injury and then simply passing out and dying.
And we call that ambulatory.
Yes,
Right. And then with regards, you mentioned there was no sit or stippling, so it wasn't a close range situation, and you can't really determine how far away the weapon was, so to speak.
I can't, with a caveat that clothing can block soot or stippling.
Okay. And to your knowledge, you don't know if there was any soot or stippling found on the clothing in this case?
I never saw the clothing, and I have no report of the clothing.
Okay. Dr. Daniels, thank you. Good, safe travels back to the Cleveland area. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Redirect?
Nothing, Your Honor.
All right. Dr. Daniels, you can step down.
Oh, Your Honor, I have one. I'm sorry. May I ask one more thing?
Okay, hold on one second.
Thank you for the,
Dr. Daniels,
Dr. Daniels,
before you leave,
Yes, sir.
one more question.
Okay.
I apologize. I had it highlighted and I didn't look at it. On your on the report
Yes.
that you reviewed and you agreed with 100%, cause of death is multiple gunshot wounds.
Yes,
Underneath in these reports here in Franklin County, they also put manner of death.
yes,
It's listed as homicide.
yes.
That doesn't have any connotation for legal aspects here in the courtroom, correct?
It does not. Manner of death, I will explain to you. There are 5 manners of death used in the United States. Natural disease. Suicide, one takes their own life. Accident is an unforeseen result of some action or some occurrence. Homicide, the way we use it, means death caused by another. And then there's undetermined, where we do not have enough information after a full investigation to choose between one or of 2 manners of death. Our determination of homicide simply means death caused by another. It has no legal interpretation.
So it's not to be considered in this courtroom as a legal, any, with regards to a criminal trial.
That's correct.
Doctor, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
All right. Redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Daniels.
Welcome.
Is there a stipulation that you'd like to get into the record at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Thank you. Yes. Gosh, no, I don't know which one. Okay, there we go.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we're going through the jury selection process, we had talked about stipulations. Stipulations are facts that are agreed upon by the attorneys in the case. Many times, so a particular witness doesn't have to necessarily come in and testify regarding it. At this time, I think the state is going to read into the record a stipulation that you are to accept as evidence in this case.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have stipulation number 2, which is that the parties stipulate that the male who was shot in the garage at 1062 Oberlin Drive in Franklin County, Columbus, Ohio, on December 22nd, 2020, just shortly before 2 a.m., and later transported to the hospital where he passed away, was Andre Hill. We also have stipulation number 1, which is the parties stipulate that State's Exhibit W is a true and accurate copy of the report issued by Andrew McClellan, a forensic scientist employed by the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation, regarding the operability condition of the Smith & Wesson semi-automatic pistol with serial number NDR 6860, which is marked as State's Exhibit J, that was obtained from Officer Adam Coy on December 22nd, 2020. The parties stipulate that if Andrew McClellan were called to testify, he would testify that the Smith & Wesson M&P 9mm Luger semi-automatic pistol obtained from Officer Adam Coy is an operable firearm. The parties further stipulate that the Smith & Wesson firearm M&P 9mm Luger at issue, marked as State's Exhibit J, had no defects. In addition, the parties stipulate that Andrew McClellan would testify that he test-fired bullets from Officer Adam Coy's weapon and compared those test-fired casings to the following: 4 casings found at the scene at 1062 Oberlin Drive, which are collectively marked as State's Exhibit O, 1 spent projectile recovered from the scene at 1062 Oberlin Drive, marked as State's Exhibit N2, 1 projectile recovered from the 11th intercostal space of Andre Hill's body, marked as State's Exhibit N, and 1 projectile recovered from the buttock of Andre Hill, marked as State's Exhibit N1. Based upon these comparisons, Andrew McClellan would testify that the 4 casings from the scene, the spent projectile from the scene, and the 2 projectiles recovered from the body of Andre Hill were all fired from the same source, specifically the weapon obtained from Officer Adam Coy.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
So stipulated.
All right. Okay. Right, ladies and gentlemen, this is all the evidence that you're going to hear today. Okay, I'm going to release you for the weekend. Obviously, the admonitions still apply, okay, except now you have 2 days not to talk with anyone, not to do any research, not to seek any information outside of this courtroom. Okay, it is so important, ladies and gentlemen, to ensure that the parties do indeed have a fair trial, that you not obtain any information outside this courtroom. As I've already indicated before, friends, family members, significant others, if they want to ask you questions, tell them just wait until the trial is over, and that you'd be more than happy to talk with them, because my concern always is that they may begin asking things that have absolutely no relevance ultimately to your deliberations in this matter. So I'm hoping everyone has a wonderful weekend. Do everything that you can to stay healthy. Have a safe trip home tonight and a safe trip back on Monday. Need you here before 9 a.m. Come directly to the jury room, I would assume, yeah. Come directly to the jury room on Monday. All right. All rise for the jury.